Kia ora, and welcome to the second video for week 7, where we turn our attention to this new concept of ideology as a way of making sense of the power and influence of media. Ideology is a central term in media studies because it draws our attention to how practices of representation, like those you considered in the first unit of this course, can relate to broader questions of power and ownership, such as when we considered in relationship to political economy. In order to help make sense of this, I want to start by asking you a question. If you wanted to take over a country, where would you start? Once upon a time, it probably made sense to seize control of the military, to get behind the wheel of a tank and drive it downtown the main street to crush your enemies. However, writing in the late 60s, media theorist Umberto Eco suggested that even then that view had become outdated. Once a country reaches a certain level of development, he argues, it doesn't make sense to think of the armed forces as a source of national power. Instead, he argued, if you want to assert control, you need to be in charge of the television stations and the newspapers, the outlets of information that tell a population what's going on and how they should interpret it. Today, Eco argued, a country belongs to the person who controls communications. And 50 years after he makes that argument, we probably need to update that again for the 21st century, where it's more a case of social media algorithms than publishing presses, but the fundamental message remains the same. In a developed society, media and popular culture become the key sites at which power is controlled and wielded. And the reason they become so powerful is because of ideology. In the most basic terms, we can think about an ideology as a set of beliefs, values, ideas, and feelings that shape how we understand and interact with the world around us. Ideology refers to sets of shared assumptions about what is correct, logical, and desirable. These assumptions inform not just our decisions, but also the things we take for granted or do without thinking. This concept of ideology has become central to the study of media, because media are one of the main ways in which ideologies, these belief systems, are communicated and thereby reinforced and reproduced. Every media text, from news broadcasts to action films to advertising, can be interpreted in terms of ideology, which isn't just about what the text is trying to say in a direct and upfront way, but also about what the text is not saying. What are the things that are assumed, what is explained, and what is not? Every media text makes assumptions about what is correct, logical, and desirable, and this is inevitable. No one media text could represent everything. But one of the consequences of this partial nature of representation is that media will always imply a particular vision of the world, whether they seek to or not. Certain things will seem more normal than others, certain things more acceptable, and certain things more reasonable. In this way, the media come to inform our actions and choices, but not in a direct way where we simply mimic what we see on the TV, nor in terms of some sort of conspiracy of secret manipulation. Rather, ideology suggests that the media form an important part of our larger social process, whereby constantly repeated ideas, values, and beliefs come to seem normal and obvious. The ability of media to shape how we interpret and understand the world is therefore more than just a philosophical quirk, but a matter of crucial, practical, and political importance. This is because while media aren't the only source of ideology in our society, they are some of the most important, because they reach into so many places so much of the time. In doing so, media have the ability to make certain ways of running and organizing a society seem natural and obvious, even when they confer unequal benefits or perpetuate systems of exploitation. For this reason, in media studies, we'll often talk about things like capitalist ideology, systems of thought that are particularly dominant in our particular society, and in which the media can be thought to play an important role in shaping attitudes towards potentially contentious aspects of the status quo. When we talk about ideology in media studies, we're asking you to think about how the stories media tell us and the images they present can lead us to regard certain forms of identity or behavior as more desirable or benefit some groups over others. In this sense, to think about ideology means that to think about how all media forms can be understood as fundamentally political.